What the heck are you doing?
I got a 30. Mom and Dad are gonna kill me.
You meatball head. Forget that shit. It's starting. Come on, come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight, never running from a real fight. She is the one named Sailor Moon. She is the one named Sailor Moon. She is the one, Sailor Moon.
Hey guys.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the first episode of Sailor Moon by Moonlight.
Yes.
We'll go
That's
with,
what we're going
we'll
with.
go with that title, okay. Basically what we're gonna do is similar to our X-Files show.
Mm-hmm.
We are gonna watch episodes before we film in order.
Yes, we are.
Every episode, basically, of Sailor Moon. And the movies, and the shorts, as they come chronologically.
So you can follow along with us.
And we're gonna watch and talk. We're gonna talk about each one on each episode of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So today we watched the first episode of Sailor Moon, and we watched 3 versions of this.
We did. We're going to be watching 3 versions for every episode, right?
Yeah, as long as there are 3 versions. There's a point where there is not
Oh, okay.
a Deke or Cartoon Network version, so then it'll be like 2
Just
versions.
the subtitles, yeah.
And when we get done with all that, we'll be watching the live action show and the new animated series.
I'm excited.
And by then, I hopefully will have read all the manga so I can compare and contrast. But at this point, we're going into this. This is the manga that the shows were based on.
Yes.
By Naoko. I'm going to make sure I try to say this right. Naoko Takuchi. I don't know if that's correct. It looks like Takuchi, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
It sounds a little Italian. I don't know.
Well, somebody will comment probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pretty Guardian, Sailor Moon. This is the original manga, but this, of course, is a reprint in English, so I can understand it. And they're about to re-release that actually again. This is a fairly recent release, and they're about to re-release it all because every time they release it, people say that needs a better translation.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
because
kind of like the Bible.
that was like for some people it is. So that was like the second, I think like the second English translation,
Wow.
and now they're going on the third. As far as the shows go, we originally got the show in America. And we're, by the way, today's episode and for a long time, we're doing the classic old version of the show, which
Yes.
I'm gonna say aired in the early 90s.
I think so.
I should look
Maybe
that up.
mid-90s. No, it aired in the...
No, I mean it was the 90s, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't the 80s.
No.
I think the manga might have come out in the
It
80s.
was around the same time as X-Files,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So, and it aired on Fox, where we live, in the afternoons, daily on weekday afternoons.
So Fox was kind of our channel, wasn't it?
Well, for a few
For a
things
bit.
it was. For a while, I think in the 90s, like part of the 90s, Fox was just it, man.
Yeah.
It was kind of new, and they just had a lot of good stuff on there. They still have some good stuff. I watch Gotham. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna start with that old Fox version, which was the Deke version.
Cool.
Which was the Deke dub that we got into Sailor Moon
That's
with.
the one that I grew up with.
Now everybody says it's inferior, and we'll talk about that,
We will.
today. But we're going to talk about the 3 versions of the first episode, and the other 2 versions that we watched today are the original Japanese language version with English subtitles, and the new English dub. So both of those, our sources are the current Viz Media Blu-rays.
Okay.
So those are the 3 versions we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Now the Deke version, of course, has a lot of editing involved. It's reworked in many
It's
ways.
spliced and characters
diced.
are different and yeah.
So before we get into it, so what was your experience getting into Sailor Moon? I know I was still in school, but it was college probably.
I honestly, just like X-Files, I don't remember a specific point in time.
I was
where
probably
was.
into it before
But I think
you.
you were watching it,
Right.
right? Yeah, and then I got into it. But I'm pretty sure I was like 12 or 13 maybe.
Right, okay. And if you don't know,
Maybe younger.
if you're totally not familiar with Sailor Moon, it's a Japanese anime.
No, it might have been younger.
I should have mentioned that before. It's a Japanese anime, well, based on the manga, and of course it was brought here and translated. And a lot of the editing is due to the fact that they didn't think that American kids could handle
it.
certain things, or that the parents wouldn't approve of certain
Yeah.
things. And we'll get into those as they come. But so yeah, you were basically caught onto it because of me.
12. Yeah, I think so.
And I just it was the first anime show that I really got into, and really the only one that I have, because of just the fact that anime shows, because I like anime, and I like a lot of anime movies. I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan. But as far as, and some other movies I love, classics like Akira and stuff like that. But as far as anime shows, most of them, you really have to start from the beginning
That makes sense.
and go all the way through. And like whenever they would run them on Cartoon Network, I never could, I would always come in randomly, Now we have Netflix and Hulu and stuff, and I really need to make the effort because now I don't have an excuse. They've got a lot of popular anime shows on there. But Sailor Moon is the one that I got really into first, and I'm still really into it. And I still haven't seen every single episode.
Oh, I remember I got to a point in college where I almost watched every single episode. I had downloaded every single episode, and I almost watched all of them. And that was the subtitle.
It was the subtitle version?
The original version. And I loved them.
Yeah,
It was on my spring break in college. I didn't do college things. I just stayed in my apartment and watched Sailor Moon.
That's pretty cool.
That's what I was doing. So,
But yeah. Well, and with the Deke version, you saw all of those, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure.
And
but they only went to a certain time.
they only
point,
covered
right?
the first 2 seasons.
That's lame.
And then Cartoon Network took over. And Cartoon Network was less editing, but still, I think they still stuck with some of the Deke ideas, some of the censorship. And they had at least partially a new voice cast. I remember Rini had a much better voice.
Oh yeah.
But she was also older on the Cartoon Network versions. And I can't say too much about it because until we get to those episodes, I only saw those randomly.
I don't think I ever saw those.
I know Sailor Moon had her voice changed. The English versions we're talking about had her voice changed maybe 3 times. Once with the early Deke episodes, and then Deke changed it.
I remember.
And she got a lot more whiny.
I know.
But then, and more yodely with her whining. And then I think Cartoon Network got a new one. And she was kind of trying to imitate that second one. So she was even worse with the whining and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong about some of this stuff, but that's what I think happened. So the Cartoon Network ones were S and Super S, and we never got a dub of Sailor Stars, which was the final season.
Okay.
Or any of the shorts. We did get dubs of the 3 movies. And of course now Viz Media is redubbing everything as they release them to Blu-ray. But they've only gotten, I think they're halfway through Sailor Moon S, which is the 3rd season. I think that's how far they are right now.
Okay.
And I need might be totally the way through, and I think I need the second half of that yet. I need to get that. But yeah, so there's been a lot of variations with that.
There have been.
I have seen all the Deke. many times because that's how I got into it.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the stuff was random and no Sailor Stars. So that's where I am with that.
I wanna
And
see
I've
Sailor
seen
Stars.
the first several episodes of the live action.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, although I have the Blu-ray releases, I've only seen the first few episodes of the new show. I just haven't
Yeah.
had time yet. That's why I haven't read any of the manga, even though I have all of them.
I think I saw the first 3 episodes and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you've seen the movies.
Oh yeah.
We saw the first movie in theaters last year because
They were having
Alamo
an
Draft
event.
House had it. Yeah, so that was cool. I wish they'd get the other 2 in there. So anyway, first episode. What'd you think?
I mean, this is probably the episode that I've seen a million times, but I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great. And so immediately when that theme song comes on, and we're talking about Deke, right?
Yeah, we can talk
Okay.
about the deep one first.
So let's talk about the Deke one first because I love the theme song, obviously, and the lyrics, and they have the Deke version has the opening of the explanation.
Yeah, the other ones don't have that. Now,
The history.
yeah, I don't know if that's such a good thing or not.
I don't know either, but it kind of gave me a Care Bearish feeling, and I really love Care Bears.
Like the
And so,
narrator sounded
yeah,
like the guy from Care Bears.
Yeah, so I
from
really
the
liked
movie.
that.
Yeah.
But I love the. I mean, I really like Sailor Moon's voice in the first incarnation, the
Oh,
first
yeah.
episode.
I'm so sleepy. Why can't today be Saturday?
Kind of had a little bit of a raspy kind of voice, but it wasn't like a, you know.
I liked it. I don't like Molly's voice. I've never liked.
You
Molly's
never liked
voice.
Molly's
No.
like New Yorkie voice?
No, it's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
Such a dweeb, Melvin. She doesn't need a tutus. She needs a trip to the mall to get her mind off this.
And she's an adorable character. It's just
And the other, she's
voice.
adorable in the subtitle.
Yeah, I love her in the
original. And then what's Marvin?
Melvin.
Melvin? Yeah, Melvin. Marvin. Melvin, he's annoying too.
You're going shopping? What's more important than your grades? Look, I didn't study and I only got a 95. How will I ever be able to explain this to my parents?
But
Yeah. Some of the voices are annoying, but
Yeah.
we'll get to what we think about the other versions later.
and but I like Queen Beryl and I like Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi was is the villain in the first episode. The villain who's sort of orchestrating things. Of course, first you have Queen Beryl, and then below her, she always calls in some
One of her
some
minions.
henchmen, and
Yeah.
he always has some monsters. And that's the way it works. She just switches off with her minions when she gets disappointed in one.
Yes.
So anyway, the first one is Jadeite, and he brought in a minion called Maru. Was it Maru or
Ooh,
something?
let me look it up real
I
quick.
feel like that's not.
I
Yeah,
think it was
these like really horrific demonic Morga. Okay, why did I say Maru? Anyway, and I want to say like we're getting off track because we haven't like gotten into a synopsis, but
Oh, yeah.
that like when they were showing Queen Beryl's like throne or whatever. Man, that was like some dark Geiger stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now I don't remember if they showed that in the Deke one to the as much as they showed it in the others. They might have, but it was like this horrific.
I don't know,
like,
but it was
skull
horrific
thing.
and almost phallic symbolish.
Was it? I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
I know that and the demons on this show, because I remember being like, wow, this is like a cartoon on TV, and it's like these horrible like demonic possession like scenes all the time, and then it's like schoolgirls fighting demons. You know, all of us guys liked it really.
yeah, and I mean, and they like. Well, are we going to talk about the other versions as well? Because the music.
It's
is
kind of
different,
hard
too.
to talk about one at a time. We might as well talk about
Yeah.
them all at once.
The music is different at some points, like.
Right? Aren't there times in the Deke where it sounds like it's the same music, and times when it sounds like it's original?
And the original music has a lot of classical pieces mixed in with it.
Right.
Like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I forget what that's.
And I don't think. Yeah, I
I should
forget
know
the
that.
name of that, but.
I should know that.
But I don't think that's in the Deke one. And of course they have different. Well, it's the same. The opening song is the same music, but it's like different lyrics, isn't it?
Yes.
Or is it a different song? Yeah, it's the same music.
It's the same music.
Yeah, I believe it's called Moonlight Densetsu, unless I'm thinking of a different song.
I think you're right.
And yeah, I hope so, because I have like a couple of the two American
Yes.
Sailor Moon soundtracks.
Those were also 2 soundtracks of my life.
Oh my god, we used to listen to those all the time.
Yes.
I've gotten rid of almost all my CDs, but I think I still have those.
No, you need to keep those. I've kept
Yeah.
my X-Files Fight the Future CD and my American Werewolf in Paris CD.
Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah.
We're super 90s.
Yeah, we are. Totally 90s. But I'm okay with that.
When we're
because
not
it's better
80s
time.
and 40s and
I remember
70s.
I remember in the 90s I was like, this is a shit time.
There's a lot of crappy stuff about the 90s, but
And then now I yearn for the 90s sometimes. So
aspects.
yeah, aspects.
Aspects of everything. Always, every decade has aspects that are good. So the music, the opening scene, again, the Deke version has a little like background, like Queen Beryl in the Negaverse like destroyed the Moon Kingdom, and so Queen Serenity had to send Princess Serena and basically all the people from the Moon Kingdom
Right.
down to Earth. And
All the warriors down there.
and down on Earth, they don't like have their memories or anything.
They're
like reincarnated.
reborn,
They're like
right?
reincarnated. And she also sends the 2 cats, Luna and Artemis. This is Artemis, and Luna is a black cat. Supposedly, although I always thought she kind of looked purple or bluish.
Me too. But
So-
same for Sailor Mercury's hair. She has bluish hair.
Sailor
Like-
Moon. Oh, Mercury, yeah.
Yeah.
She does kind of have bluish hair. So that's true. So they get sent to Earth, the cats, and I don't know, I guess they still have their memories, but I don't know why they don't recognize the people when they meet them, because they're reincarnated, but they look the same.
Well, I think the assumption is that they're not reincarnated. Or no, sorry, that they are reincarnated, but they're not in the same bodies. You know what I
But
mean?
they look the same.
I know, but I think that's the assumption.
Maybe. But
Which is a really cool. That would be so awesome live action if they did it like that. You know,
how do you mean?
like they made them look different. You know.
Oh, you would want them to make them look different?
Yeah. Well, not so different. Maybe like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. Where they just kind of change her look a little bit. Like
Yeah,
she's,
just
she's
change
like
her
a
look a little.
brunette with long hair in the Renaissance time.
Did they
and
use
stuff like
her,
that.
the same actress
Yeah.
throughout? Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. Haven't watched that in a while.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that would be interesting. Well, they did do a live action show, but in that show, that was kind of
It's just
weird.
the
What
same.
they, well, we'll talk about that whenever we come to it. But
Yeah.
the way they did with the looks was kind of interesting and kind of weird. I don't know if I liked it. Basically, their hair color changed when they changed, and I didn't really like that. It's like Mercury should always have the blue hair, and
That's
Sailor Moon
weird.
should always have the blonde hair. That's how I feel, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, just the Deke version has this little background of them, how they came to Earth and everything. So if you watch the Japanese version or the new dub, and you haven't seen it before, you're just kind of going in blind
That's true.
if you haven't read the manga or
Which
anything.
is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
It's not
I would be interested to. I don't know. Do you wish that you had gone in without knowing that little background?
no, because I like the Care Bear feel to it.
I feel like it would have made a big difference in the way I took in the show.
Maybe I wouldn't have like paid attention.
You
as
just
much.
don't know as much. Well, you might pay attention more, is what I'm saying.
Oh no,
Because they're like they would explain the story more gradually, probably.
No, I would probably be like, what are we getting to? What kind of a show is this?
Oh, yeah,
What are
I
we
guess.
doing? So I do like the backstory,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
And if you don't know what kind of show it is, it's basically there's a word for this, but it's a superhero show. But there is a special term for this, but it's where it's like super like female characters that are super pretty, like warrior type superhero.
Glam superhero?
No. There's like a Japanese term for it.
Oh,
I can't
okay.
remember what it is, but yeah. Anyway, so when the episode starts, Sailor Moon wakes up. She's late for school. She gets her lunch, and you notice when you watch all three of these versions that the dialogue, and this is standard for dubs and subtitles, it's different.
It is different.
All throughout the three different versions, which I've never really understood why. And I know that part of it is, when they're making
They're trying to make the mouths
dialogue,
match
they want it
with
to match the mouths,
But also, I found that I really enjoy the original version better.
the original Japanese version.
Yeah, for sure.
All the dialogue and yeah, it's better. It's just better.
Not only does it feel more authentic, but because it is what it is,
Yeah.
But I like the storytelling better. I mean, it's more.
I think the characters are cuter, their personalities and stuff.
in-depth. I mean, a part of me loves the Deke version with their voices and everything because that's what I grew up with. But then when I started watching the original show, I was like, this is way more interesting almost and way more authentic. So I like it better.
I just remember what they're called. They call them magical girl shows. I guess it's not really a Japanese term unless there's like
Magical girl shows.
It's called magical girl or something like that. That's something. That's what I've always heard it called. And it's stuff like Cardcaptor Sakura and Sailor Moon and just a ton of other. What were you just singing?
I'm singing the Teen Witch song.
Song from Teen. We watched Teen Witch last night, so.
Along with the Heavenly Kid, which is on the same DVD.
We need to do a review of that DVD set.
And it shouldn't be because it's so good.
Which one?
Heavenly Kid.
Heavenly Kid.
I mean, I love Teen Witch, but it's
Teen
not.
Witch is so bad, it's good.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Okay, so Serena is her name.
Yes.
In the English
And I
original
love that.
Deke English version.
I do love that name.
And I still know those English names much better than I know any of the Japanese names.
yeah.
Except for I do know Serena's Usagi.
Usagi, yeah.
But the others, I mean, I'm still learning the others. And
We'll learn.
I've watched a lot of random stuff with the correct names. But I don't have them
I
memorized.
never really warmed to Luna's voice in the Deke version.
Why, Serena, I came to see you, of course. Who else?
A talking cat?
Because it was a little grandma-ish.
Yeah, it was a little grandma.
But when I watched the new dubbed version, I was like, hell no. Like, get her off. I could not stand her voice for some reason because she wasn't grandma enough, I guess. I don't know.
Because you're used to the other. But in the Japanese one, she's not grandma-ish.
Yeah, and I with everything, the Japanese one is way better than everything else. But she was too young and hip sounding.
She sounded like the girls.
Yes.
Usagi, my name is Luna, and you can't imagine how long I've been looking for you.
And
Which is not cool. Like, she sounded like Mercury.
I so much
Mars
appreciate
trapped
the
in
new
there.
dubs because I know they're trying not to edit, and I know
I
they're
appreciate that too, but
and I know they're hopefully if everything keeps going well, they'll get us the last season, and both in Japanese and in dub on Blu-ray, and I like watching dubs because I like to watch the subtitle version and I like to hear the original voices.
you're right.
But sometimes I just want to watch it without reading and just enjoy the visuals.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, some people say, "Oh, I'd rather read it," and it's like, well, I like both because sometimes you don't even want to read. You just want to sit down with some
Enjoy
ice
it.
cream and just
Listen to
and just
Sailor Moon.
watch.
Yeah.
Watch the expressions and everything. Not have to, because when I read subtitles on a movie, I mean, I'm looking at the subtitles. I'm missing sometimes some of the visuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I appreciate having new dubs and hopefully the final season finally. But some of the voices I prefer the other dub. And yeah, I have to agree. We both feel the same. Having watched 3 different versions, the Japanese version, it's the original.
And I remember getting so caught up in the
You're getting
story
everything
with the
pure,
Japanese version.
You know, the original version. But like I said, you know, there are reasons I like the dubs. There's nostalgia with the Deke version.
Yes, exactly. And the music of the Deke.
Talking about those 2 soundtracks.
Yes.
There are songs on those 2 soundtracks.
That we sing.
I
all the
love
time.
the entire
Me too.
first soundtrack. The other soundtrack has more hokey stuff to it, but it's still got some great stuff. It's got the Japanese version, I think, of Moonlight Densetsu. I think that's on the second one. Oh, that's on the first one, I think. Yeah. The second version has like, the second soundtrack has like, I Want to Hold Your Hand in like the Sailor Moon girls singing.
Rainy day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God,
I loved those those CDs. I remember listening to those all the way to Disney World.
She's got the power.
Yeah, that was awesome.
She's got the power. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Now I have to listen to those.
So yeah, those. So they're, you know, inferior as dubs may be. We love those songs.
I love the music.
I love the Japanese music too, though. God.
Yeah, the Japanese music is a little more dated, it
You
sounds
think?
like. Although, I mean, this music is dated too, but it's like a different kind. I don't know. It's weird.
When we were watching, okay, here's a good point since you did bring up your DVD set that we were watching last night. It was a double feature of Teen Witch and what was
The
it?
Heavenly Kid.
Heavenly Kid. And the girls singing the songs on the Heavenly Kid.
Or a couple of songs.
A couple of songs in the background in a Heavenly Kid, the Heavenly Kid, is the voice of Sailor Mercury, who sang the songs on that CD, and I guess did the speaking voice maybe.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
But she definitely did the singing for Sailor Mercury. And we were watching and you said that, right? You said, that sounds like Sailor Mercury or something. And I was like, I was thinking that, you know? And then you looked it up and it was true. So that was awesome.
That has happened to me so many times with her. Like I'm always,
Really?
like so many times I'll be watching something, I'm like, oh my god, that's Sailor Mercury, and you look it up and
she has one of the more distinct voices.
Absolutely.
This is, we're talking about the original dub Mercury. And yeah, so
I think I prefer. No, I don't prefer the music. I just really like the music in the Deke version because it's got a lot of like electric guitars and like, and it's just very it's very powerful, I want to say.
Sure.
But then I also enjoy the Japanese because I love Japanese music. You know, I listen to it all the time in my room.
Oh yeah. You mean like the more old-fashioned style?
Well, traditional, yeah.
You don't mean like the pop, which I mean, you know,
Right.
it's we've only heard some of the pop. It's pretty cool.
No, I listen to traditional Japanese music.
Yeah, but the pop music is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the boy bands.
Well, I prefer the girl bands anyway.
Gross.
And the Korean pop bands.
I do not like the boy bands. I
No.
don't really like any boy bands, so.
She doesn't like boy bands in general.
Nah.
Backstreet Boys?
Ugh.
Backstreet is back.
I mean, they're funny because that's a hilarious song.
That's a good video.
Everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, but you know, but I wasn't too bothered by the new dub voices. I thought Serena was good.
Hey! Stop that! Little meanies. Poor thing, you okay? Seriously? They put a bandage on you? You want me to take it off? Okay. It does look pretty cute on you.
What about Molly in the new dub?
I preferred her, actually.
To the original?
Yeah, to the original.
The only thing...
No, I preferred her to the Deke.
To the Deke, I mean.
Not to the original.
Nothing about the Japanese version.
Nothing trumps the original. Let's
Right,
just say
but
that.
as far as the new dub versus old dub, you like new Molly better.
Yes.
Wow, I can't believe you did that, Usagi. You seriously need to learn some self-control.
Naru, you're my best friend. You know I don't have that kind of self-control. Besides, I'm a growing girl. Can't help it.
But one thing about her, and you did say this, and you were kind of saying this in general, they sounded too old for the parts.
Oh
they
God,
were
they
playing.
sound like they're 40. Yeah.
They don't sound like they're 40, but they sound like they're
They sound too old for the roles, and especially
much
Melvin.
older. Melvin sound no, it was the little brother. The little brother
my
sounded
God.
way too old.
I was like, what are you, 25?
Hey, you're in the way. So what huge mistake did Mom kick you out for this time? I sure wish I had a sister who wasn't a total loser.
What I was gonna say though about that is the new dubs. I appreciate them, but it does to a certain degree sound like fan dubbing.
Yeah, no, I didn't like.
Just by the selections, like what we were saying about them sounding a little too old.
I don't like
sometimes.
Serena's voice in the new one.
And the fact that they sound similar ages all together. You know?
Yeah, I don't like it.
But well, I was fine with the new Serena. I think there's a little more. There's something about the acting in the Deke version that's I don't know. There's more.
It's more.
It's more exaggerated, but it's
This new version is very like, you know, like it's not.
It's a little more mellow, which sometimes is what I want in cartoons,
but
in
what
Sailor
I want
Moon,
in a Sailor Moon
it's
anime.
different. It's
not
like
what I want in
they're
that.
very like
Yeah.
So yeah, the Deke one so far with the first episode has won out as far as the dubs.
Absolutely.
But I didn't really have a problem with any of the voices. Little brother was a little bit. He was
I
too
did
old.
because I was like, I wanted to turn it off. I did not.
See, that's what I mean. I didn't want to turn it
like
off,
it.
and I thought Sailor Moon was good.
Well, it's because we watched the Deke version, and then we watched the original version, and then we watched the new dubbed version, and I was like, jeez, just turn it off because the original is so much better.
I think that's a popular opinion about the new dub.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially about Luna. I think unless I'm thinking about the new show.
No, I got to Luna. When we got to Luna, when she introduced herself, I checked out. Because it was like, that was Sailor Mars or something, you know?
No, you know who I got a Sailor Mars vibe from? I got a Sailor Mars vibe from Molly.
I guess so, yeah.
When she would get angry, because when old Molly would get angry at Sailor Moon, and of course it's Molly getting angry at Serena or Usagi, is not like Sailor Mars getting really angry.
Right.
But she sounded a little bit more like Sailor Mars, and then she got angry and sounded like Mars.
Yeah, I get that.
To me, but Luna definitely sounded too much like just another one of the scouts. Yeah, that's true. But overall, I didn't have a huge problem with it. Nostalgia makes it kind of hard to say.
I know.
You know, it's like I'm always gonna like that a little bit more. But yeah, let's get back to the story. So she goes to school. She's got a 30 on her test.
For exam.
I think it was a math test, I think. And oh, by the way, so on her way to school, or when she gets to school, she's like, "Did you hear about the new Sailor V video game? Because Sailor V is this superhero that already exists, right?"
Yeah.
But I was always a little confused on the Deke version, and then when we watched the Japanese version and the dub, she doesn't really know who Sailor V is.
No, which was interesting.
The new dub, I mean. I don't remember in the new dub if she knew.
She wasn't as aware of her. Yeah, she did not know.
I know in the Japanese one she totally did not know.
The new dub is trying to keep it closer to
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
original.
close, but there are changes in the dialogue. But yeah, it was kind of weird that she had no idea who Sailor V was in the original version. But in the Deke one, she was already like a big Sailor V fanatic, you know? And of course Sailor V, I don't know if those graphic novels or those comics, because there are some manga for that. I don't know if they came out before the Sailor Moon one, but I think they did. And so in the Deke one, I never really understood if she was supposed to be a real superhero or if it was just a video game, cartoon character, or a movie character.
In the Deke one?
In the Deke one.
Yeah, she was almost like a movie star in the Deke one.
Yeah, and then in the Japanese one, she's an actual superhero, working superhero. But in the Deke one, She does turn out to be real.
I think she does both in the Deke one. I think it's like Superman or something. You know?
Yeah, it's a little confusing in the Deke version. But anyway, so they're at school. They're talking about their grades. Melvin shows up and he's like, "Well, don't feel bad. I only got a 95." And and Melvin, it was jarring for me to hear the new dub.
Hey, how'd you end up doing on your test, Usagi?
Hi, Umino.
But then I got used to it because then he started to sound more nerdy.
Someday I want to learn Japan. I want to learn
I
Japanese.
want to learn Japan someday. Yeah, I would like to go to Japan
And I want to like
someday.
watch Sailor Moon
Yeah.
and just see if it's really that close to the.
I should have moved to
subtitle.
Japan a long time ago. I should. Well, no, I mean there's just programs
Japanese.
where you can go teach in Japan, and it's like people do it. You know?
Oh, I thought you said
like
I
people
should
do
learn
it
Japan.
really early in life. You know,
Yeah,
I should have done that a long time ago. But yeah, no, I should have done that. I would love to see Japan, but yeah.
Oh, me too.
Favorite part of Epcot Center?
Yes.
Best restaurant in Disney World.
Mitsukoshi.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo Dining.
Tokyo Dining, and Mitsukoshi is the
It's the
department store. Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I always used to go there looking for Sailor Moon merch.
That is like our
And
favorite place in
if I was
Epcot.
lucky, I would find one Sailor Moon item.
Now there's like at least a
Now
few
there's a
shelves.
whole like section,
Yeah.
Sailor Moon section there, which is awesome. I used to, when the show was on, man, I bought so much Sailor Moon merchandise.
Me too.
I don't have it. I have only new merchandise now because most of the old stuff I don't have.
I remember I had a t-shirt and I had these little pink Japanese earrings that I loved wearing, and I loved it.
I gave most of mine to a girl I was in love with. But
That might be your problem.
I have a lot of new stuff now. I have a big wall scroll on my bedroom wall.
Ooh, I have a wall scroll too.
And I have those new action figures from SH Figure Arts, Japanese imported, very nice. So yeah, I made up for it with that stuff.
I was pretty obsessed.
You
in my
have a really
teenage
nice wall scroll.
In my
You
teenage
know,
years, I was really obsessed with Sailor Moon.
Yeah. We're gonna get back to the plot too.
Yes.
Where were we? While they're at school and Sailor Moon is super depressed about her grades, Molly says you should come by her family's store because her mom has a jewelry store.
And they're
she's
having a
like,
sale today.
We're having a big sale today.
And she goes, "What?" And she gets the big heart.
The big
googly
eyes or whatever, googly eyes. Yeah.
And so they're super excited and they decide to go shopping after school.
Yeah. So they go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does she go home first or?
She goes home first and her mom kicks her out. And we forgot to mention earlier that on her way to school she runs into Luna for the first time.
Oh yes.
So
she finds Luna.
yeah. So some kids are beating up on Luna, sadly.
Yeah.
And they covered her little
She has a little
moon.
crescent like that.
Yeah, they covered it up with a Band-Aid.
Band-Aid on it, and Serena takes it off. Usagi takes it off.
Mm-hmm.
Strange honking sounds outside. The heck is that?
That's horrifying.
It sounds like Dick Van Dyke with his one-man band is walking by outside. So she takes the Band-Aid off of Luna's crescent moon, and that was stopping Luna from being able to talk, and now she can talk.
Right.
And now she's not just a regular cat.
Yeah.
But she sort of runs off and comes back later.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
She's late to school.
Right. No, I mean Luna also. They go their separate ways.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if when Sailor Moon comes home.
When Sailor Moon gets
Usagi
home,
comes home.
Yeah, when Serena gets home.
You sure she doesn't go to the jewelry store one time first?
No. Yes. You're right. You're right.
Or do they go to a video game?
No, you're
place?
right. She goes to
Or
the
do they go to an arcade?
No, they go to the jewelry store first, and then on her way home, she passes by the arcade and sees a poster of Sailor.
Oh, okay. So they go to the jewelry store, and people are just going crazy because the mom, Molly's mom,
has been.
Oh, I'm sorry. We use the Deke version names, but her name is Naru, I believe. Yeah, it's Naru.
Cool.
We're really bad about the Japanese names. But yeah, it's Naru. Naru-chan is what she calls her a lot, but it's Naru. And her mom is kind of just giving stuff away, like expensive stuff for like $10 and stuff like that. and or 500,000 yen. She's giving it for like what was it, like
30,000.
30,000
Yeah.
yen. And I have no idea what that means.
The equivalent.
What the American equivalent is of that. But and secretly she'll like turn to the camera. She already turning to the camera, making the demon face.
Yeah.
But
Demon face.
basically, you know, crazy mayhem in the store with the big sale going on. And then, like you said, Serena leaves because they just can't handle the crowd of women just going crazy for the jewelry. And then you said they
on her
walk
way
by?
home, she parts ways with Molly. And on her way home, she walks past the Sailor V poster, and so she's kind of like thinking about Sailor V. And then she runs into Tuxedo Mask.
Well, in his normal
Or-
Darien in the
Darien,
American version. I think
yeah.
it's Mamoru. Oh.
I don't know, but all I know
We're
is
just
that-
starting with the first episode. It's been a long time since we watched.
Yeah, in the Deke version, first of all, I love that he calls her Meatball Head.
Yeah.
I love that. More than, what does he call?
He calls her Bunhead.
Bunhead.
In the Japanese
I like
version.
Meatball Head more than Bunhead. And then Serena.
Yeah, it has more of a sense of like calling her stupid or something.
Yeah, and
It's
then
more of an insult.
Serena turns around and, you know, is appalled by him. But then she also says, oh, but he's kind of cute. Like
In
when
the
she's
Deke
walking away
version.
in the Deke version and only the Deke version. And in the other versions, she's like, what a weirdo, which I like what a
Yeah.
weirdo better.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh gosh, that's so 90s, but he's still kind of cute.
Yeah.
Probably more realistic though.
To say he's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wouldn't be me. I'd be like, what a weirdo.
なんだってのよ。まったくもう。変なやつ。
So Usagi goes home and
Her
that's
mom-
that's where they have the conversation about
Screams at her.
Melvin. That's where they have the discussion about his 95
Yes.
and the parents being disappointed. And then she sees Usagi's grade and it's a 30 and she kicks her out of the house.
Yeah, and in the original Japanese one, it's like, just get out of the house. Like, it's straight up kicking her
You
out.
don't deserve to be
That's crazy.
inside the house.
こんな点取ってきて、もうお家に入れてあげないわ。
It's like, wow.
Yeah, and so she goes back to the. Is that where she goes back to the jewelry store? When does she talk to Luna?
No, they don't. They never show that. They just. I think this is the part where they.
The brother comes home then really quickly, and you meet the brother.
Yeah, and I think they switch to like a scene with Queen Beryl or something, and she's just checking in or
Oh.
something like that. And then they switch back to Serena, and she's coming home from being outside, and she's all tuckered out and on the bed and taking a nap. And then Luna breaks through the window.
Right. Okay.
And
Great.
tells her that she's a Sailor Scout.
Well, like first there's the whole freak out about
Yeah,
the talking cat, and then she's like, "Here, I'll give you a present." And she makes her a present.
Okay.
Immediately forgets about the fact that there's a talking cat. She's like, "A present."
yeah, yeah.
Wow, for me, it's beautiful. How should I wear it? On my school uniform
Serena,
as a
it's not
necklace?
just a piece of jewelry. Listen to me. Do you hear what I'm saying?
But that is so much more obvious and like horrible the way they did it in the new dubbed version. It's just like, first of all, I hate Luna's voice, and she's like, here, a present from me to you, and I'm like, are you serious?
A little gift from me, just for you. Wow.
We're just so used to Luna being very authoritative.
Yes.
And
That needs to happen. It needs to
and
be
when she's
authoritative.
mad at you, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, yeah, like take
And-
this thing in your hand
yeah.
and say the magic words. I mean, do it.
She's very much in the Deke dub. She sounds very much like some sort of like royal like like a Zazu or you know what I mean from the Lion King, Zazu the little bird.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
somebody else was on the tip of my head, like Cogsworth or somebody like that,
Or the lady who's like trying to train your daughter how to be a prince, how to be a queen. Yeah. So she takes this present and she says moon present.
Yeah, it's the locket is what it is. Yeah. So to transform, what did she say?
She says, moon prison power, make up.
Yeah, and then she transforms.
Yes.
In that like special effecty, very
and I
cool.
wanted to say that I love the music because it's very Charlie's Angels-ish.
Yeah.
Very like.
And but does she transform right away when she doesn't transform as soon as she gives her the locket?
Yes, she does, because then she has to go save Molly.
Oh, they already know what's going on over there?
Yeah. Or she hears her little radar thing makes her hear Molly go, help, help.
Okay.
So she goes to help Molly.
Help me! Please help me! Somebody please help me!
So they go over to the department store, the jewelry store, and that demon mom has got Molly.
Yep.
And now in the Deke version, we see that the demon, it's sort of like the demon has possessed Molly's
Right.
mom.
In this version, it's almost
Naru's mom.
like Molly's mom is in the back somewhere. Like.
Yeah, no, in the Japanese version, she says she has Molly, and or Naru, and she tells her, I've got your mom in the basement.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna, send you both to hell or something. I don't remember what she said.
Yeah, it's
to the
super
underworld,
dark.
netherworld or something.
I was like,
maybe she
yeah.
said to the netherworld or something, which I guess is kind of where they're from. So
I
maybe
feel like it was worse than the Netherworld.
I don't remember, but yeah, something like that. So it was really dark, and it was not in the Deke version, that part, that dialogue.
Right.
So anyway, of course, Sailor Moon comes in.
She doesn't know what to do. She's kind of fumbling around.
And there's Luna is giving her orders.
Yeah.
Which of course is more effective when it's the Deke version.
Yes, so much better.
And for some reason, we don't mind it when it's the Japanese version, even though everybody sounds cute on that.
Well, because that's the culture.
I don't know, it works somehow with their language. So she is getting her knee scraped and saying she doesn't want to do it anymore.
She's like, I'm
and she's
bleeding.
crying and crying, trying to fight this demon. And then what happens?
Well, a little rose appears. And she's like, what? And she turns over and looks up in the window, and there's Tuxedo Mask with his cape waving in the wind.
Yeah.
He says, I've been watching you, or something like that.
You say something like that? I know before he leaves, he says, I'll remember what happened.
Oh yeah, no, he says, I'll remember what happened to you.
That's when he leaves.
Tonight.
And that was that's only in like the Japanese and the new
Yeah.
the new dub.
And in the Deke version, it's like hardcore. Like he gives kind of a long speech, doesn't he? I thought he did.
Probably.
So.
But anyway, so he's a guy who turns up and he helps, but he's not the one who like defeats the monster. That's still Sailor Moon.
Oh yeah, she cries them to death.
No, she starts to cry them, and it doesn't seem to be working. But she has to take her tiara, which Luna instructs her, and throw it to kill the demon. And I guess Molly's mom is all right after that, and because she's not really.
She's in the basement.
Yeah, she's really in the basement. But in the Deke version, they don't tell you that. So,
I'm sure she's okay.
But yeah, so she defeats the demon. What happened after that? I don't remember. Did it just end there? It's like, oh, Sailor Moon. I'm sure there was a scene back with, I believe that she's back at school and everybody's talking about.
Oh yeah,
Sailor Moon.
Yeah, everybody's talking about Sailor
And
V
she's like-
though, right?
No.
Like they think she's Sailor
Oh,
V.
did they think it was Sailor
so.
V?
I think so.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Is that just the Deke version or not?
I don't know. I don't remember. But she's falling asleep on her desk.
Yeah, she's just like, tell me later. And I just want to go to sleep. Yeah. To Sailor Moon, that was like how she first came on the scene. Now I can't compare it to the manga because I haven't read it yet, and we'll do that before we watch the new Sailor Moon.
We will.
But yeah, and I was hooked on that show.
I loved
You
it.
know.
I loved it.
But between the three, if you could only watch one,
The Japanese
the
version.
Japanese version, what about the nostalgia vibe of the Deke version?
I mean, well, what are you trying to say? If I could only watch one, are you saying I only have one option? What's
Yeah.
I suppose that if I were stuck on a desert island and I could only have one, I would choose the Deke version.
Really?
Just because of nostalgia.
I would take the Japanese one.
But I prefer the Japanese one. That makes no sense. But I don't know how else to say
I'll take the
it.
Japanese one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do still love the Deke.
Yeah.
The new one, I think, is going to get more watch out of me when I get to the final season that Deke didn't do. And the
Probably.
Cartoon Network also didn't do. I forget who was dubbing, what company had it, was doing the dubbing in that one. But yeah, awesome
So good.
old anime that
Yes.
we highly recommend.
You guys should check it out for sure.
And
I remember coming home from school every day and watching it
yeah.
at 3:30.
And I used to, I don't remember what year it first came on. I know it was on while I was in college. I don't know if it started when I was in high school or not.
I feel like I was 10 or 11. I don't know.
See, I was in high school in the 90s and in college in the 90s, so it's confusing. But yeah, but I was super into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna come back and watch the next episode.
It's gonna be amazing.
So we're gonna try to do this weekly.
Yes.
So we'll see you
You
guys,
guys tune in.
next time. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. If you want us to comment on anything about the show, if you have any questions or anything, or any opinions about Sailor Moon,
I know.
or
Let us know.
anything.
Let us know what you think.
give us some info. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.